Welcome to the fourth Leadership Summit of IIM Raipur, based on the theme New Age, New Realities. My name is Ayush Agarwal from Media and Public Relations Committee of IIM Raipur. Today, we are pleased to host Mr. Ashutosh Mishra, Director Head of Corporate Sales of Australia and New Zealand Banking Group. A very warm welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Ayush. And thanks to IIM Raipur for having me here.
So, my first question to you is, since you have been associated with the banking sector for a long period of time, what changes do you see as necessary in India's banking sector to attain a high growth rate with high penetration?
Okay, sure. So, as all of us are aware, we are going through a phase of low growth right now. And even though this year we have been blaming this slow growth on the COVID situation, and which actually made our GDP, for a quarter fall by about 23%. If you think back, even in 2019 and 2018 and 19, our growth was nothing great. At that time, also we were having these, issues about the economic growth. This whole problem started from the time of demonetization first, and then we had the GST introduction. So because of which these are big events, which and GST was obviously done for a long term good of the economy, but it took its toll in the short term. So going forward, if you see the balance sheets of our banks are having big backlog of NPAs. A lot of NPAs have been cleared by the banking system, but still a lot of work needs to be done. And to this effect, the new regulations which have been passed by the government have been very helpful, right? In terms of your insolvency laws and the NPA recoveries, restructuring. So these laws have been pretty helpful, and banks are making use of these. I would say RBI is doing its own bit in terms of rates reduction and monetary policy. I would say real fiscal stimulus is something which is required as of now, because if the government loosens the purse strings, that may start the cycle, the expenditure cycle, because right now the expenditure cycle is frozen. And even though banks have surplus liquidity and they are willing to lend, the corporates do not have so much demand for borrowing because they are not willing to spend, especially in the capital expenditure space. We still have spare capacity in the economy. Until the time the spare capacity is utilized, the corporates will not go for next round of investments. So I would say the banks will be encouraged to lend more once the expenditure cycle starts from the government side, and then the consumer will pick up. And we have seen that Indian consumer is quite resilient. After the lockdown has kind of opened a bit, we have seen good recovery in consumer durables, auto sector. So I'm very sure that given the kind of demographics we have, given the kind of consumption level that we have, the banks will be willing to lend, provided the expenditure cycle starts from somewhere. And I would think it will be the government where the expenditure cycle needs to start.
Some valuable information, sir, from your side. So, the next question is based on the books you have written. The first book that comes to my mind is Happiness is All We Want, and the second is Banker's Game. What
Right.
has been your motivation to write these books?
Okay, that's a great question and very close to my heart. So the book Happiness is All We Want is a self-help book, and it is actually meant for all young corporate professionals, or even the senior ones, in order to maintain a good work-life balance, right? So I have seen around me, people have found it very hard to tackle the stresses and tensions of modern life. I was in the industry when we had this Lehman Brothers crash in 2008. And during that time, I saw my fellow bankers going through a lot of stress and tension. And it was very difficult to manage the work life balance. And my key learning at that time was that if you take care of yourself, right, then everything else can be taken care of. If you take care of yourself very well, then you can take care of your job, you can take care of your family. But if you don't take care of yourself and you feel that I should, put everything else in place and then I will start working on my own well being, that doesn't work. So it is like you have to start with yourself, get your personal life, your health, well-being in order, and then you can take care of yourself or take care of everything else. And in my book, I've given a holistic framework. So I advise people to keep some time aside for themselves and do various activities. And you can pick and choose. There's no hard and fast rule. As long as consciously you are taking some time out for yourself. And the second book, which is Banker's Game, again, Banker's Game, as the name tells you, it is based on life of few bankers. And as I said earlier, this 2008 Lehman Brothers crash was a big thing in banking industry. And even though a lot of people feel that it didn't impact people directly in the Indian industry, but a lot of people in my industry, especially in the wholesale banking space, in the fixed income treasury markets, we got impacted a lot. So this is actually based on the life stories of 3-4 corporate professionals, how they go about their lives, how they go about the boom times of 2004, 5, 6, 7, and then what happens at the bust. And then you see a lot of people, they succeed very well, they earn a lot of money, but they are not able to manage their success. And then there are a few smart people who do everything well, and then they come out kind of unharmed. So this, when you read this story, you actually come across these kind of characters, and this actually gives a lot of cues to corporate professionals as to how to handle corporate politics, what to do, what not to do, where to say no to certain things. It has got a lot of focus on the softer issues as well as corporate culture, well-being, ethics, right? So because sometimes people compromise on the ethical part to progress, but then you realize that it comes back to haunt you, and any success is not good if it is not based on good ethical means.
So since
So
you
that is
talk about
primarily the idea about this book, Banker's Game.
So since you talk about work-life balance and ethical importance in the corporate life, you also wrote an article on why is corporate life so difficult. So what are your suggestions to maintain the conflict of interest between your personal lives and your organizational objectives? How can one do so?
Right. So I think it becomes very important first to realize the importance of both. We are into corporate world for a certain purpose. We have certain skill sets which we are utilizing for the benefit of the organization, and in turn, the organization is paying us. So that is a kind of a give and take in the corporate life. And then all of us, then we aspire to become more senior, right? We want to enhance our skill sets. We want to grow as individuals. So that is the corporate objective. But what happens in this particular race? A lot of people tend to forget the other aspects of life. They tend to take a unidirectional view. Sometimes the organization culture is such that they push the individual to the limit. They don't let you take care of your personal things. So it is the task of the particular individual to keep balancing these aspects. If you stretch too far into on the work side, again, you need to step back, take a break, and review as to where you are going. And you have to correct the balance, because in this world, any company where you're working, even if you work 24 hours, most likely people are not going to tell you that you go and take a break, right? That is a capitalist culture, that is a corporate culture, and that is why I say corporate life is seems to be difficult to people if they are not able to manage the various aspects of it. So a lot of time it depends on you, it falls on you to draw a line that, okay, this is my corporate life, this is what I'm doing, and this is for this purpose I'm doing this job, but I will draw certain lines and I will not go beyond that. For example, your boss might ask you to have a conference call at 10 o'clock in the night. Once in a while, if it is an emergency, it is okay. But on a day-to-day basis, is it sustainable? It is not. So then it depends on the employees to put a strong foot and say, no, I'm not available every day at 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. to do a call. And the organization also will need to understand that. Because this kind of lifestyle, I have seen certain people who, like, I got a certain personal banking RM to meet me some days back, and he said last 3 New Years I have spent in hospital because of health issues, because he's not getting any time to take care of himself, he's not getting any time to exercise or to do any well-being activities. His diet has gone for a toss. So it depends on the individual to draw the line and draw the balance. And if you feel the corporate culture does not allow you to do that, then employees need to actually move away from that. So that is one thing. And the other thing I would say is very important to understand the corporate dynamics, the corporate politics, how you interact with your peers, how you interact with your superiors, what is the dynamics in a company among your in your senior level, at your level, and below your level. Understanding that, accepting it as a reality, because a lot of people scrib about corporate politics, there's a lot of politics here and we don't like it. But take it from me, till the time human beings are there in organizations, there will be politics, right?
Yes.
So it is up to you, up to every individual to learn these tricks of corporate politics as to how to manage this. And this is one of the key drivers in my second book, which is Banker's Game. if people read and they can see actually different characters, how they navigate the world of corporate politics, and then what is the outcome of that. There are certain people who say, I am an introvert, I don't feel like going out and talking to people, but that kind of excuse does not work. You have to introspect and identify what kind of person you are, and if you feel that you're too much of an introvert, please take steps to develop extrovert qualities also. If you're too much of an extrovert and you lost complete track of your own life, again you need to center yourself and come back within yourself. So it is a question of introspection and navigating the whole corporate space.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. IIM Raipur was pleased to hold you for the fourth leadership summit, and once the things are normal, we would like to have you on campus.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Ayush, and I was very happy to be part of the panel discussion for IIM Raipur, and it was a very thought-provoking session with experienced people, and there was a very good participation from the students. So I was very happy to see that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ayush. Thank you.